Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Tuesday afternoon, and yes, Lisa, I'm late. I call it fashionably late. Normally, I am never late, but it seems like this show, I always get started about a minute late. So thanks a lot for the grief there, Lisa. Starts me off with a complaint. I'll put a digital clock up here in the future so we don't have any problems going forward. Today's show is well, it's going to be more engaging because we're going to have a lot of discussions about charts and all sorts of things. You guys may know my guest from his own channel on YouTube. He's got the Don Fron Show. He does a whole bunch of content. You can find out more information going to www.donfron.com. Of course, without further ado, we've got joining us from Kansas City, Mr. Don Fron. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic. I feel like I should turn my green screen off so we could be dueling green screens.
Yeah, well, I usually sit like the weatherman I'm on, so that's just my wall behind me.
No, I love it. Yeah, no, I did the same thing in mine. I used to not do that. I used to do a regular, actually my walls of my office, but I decided to change it up here so I can have some more fun with the backgrounds. What's going on with you, man? It's been, I think probably 3, 4, 5 months since I've had you on the show. What's new in your world?
Well, the Russell's still sideways.
Love it. Love it. We've been looking at that too.
Yeah, S&P still grinding higher. Other than that, nothing new. I think we kind of, I think there was some bearish talk lately, and I think that kind of threw things through a loop.
All right. Well, let's start. Let's start there. Let's go high level and work our way down into individual securities. I know we've got the usual suspects to check out, but we've been talking on my channel about the inflation worries. You have some energy issues. Obviously, yesterday was a pretty big energy day to the south side. But what's your take on where the markets are right now? Some people spreading that talk track of, hey, you know what, we're about to break below and all of a sudden have a significant market correction with this new Delta variant. I'd love to get your take on it.
My take is the YouTube does not monetize that conversation. I think that everybody's getting played as far as that goes, because it's the Indian variant that they renamed, so I call it the Delta Force variant now because it sounds so much scarier. And I don't know, it seems like an excuse to just run markets around. And while I think the markets are up there, I don't think this is the pullback. I don't think this is the correction, at least. I think the big correction's next year. I think this is a joke right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. I don't want to call it a joke because obviously some people are some people will succumb to this variant or COVID or whatever. But I think it's a bit blown out of proportion and designed to keep us in fear. To back up what Don's saying, we look at this S&P 500, which I have full screen for the viewers at home. You're up 1.59%. If you look at the last week, if I zoom in and just show you the last month or so, you're like, oh, good God, this is a huge sell-off. But if you put things in perspective, this is why you always look at the bigger picture. Coming off those 2009 lows, what's happened over the last week is almost unrecognizable. It's just there's nothing there. It's still part of a monstrously strong uptrend. Now, that's the S&P. I click on the NASDAQ here. It's even more extreme with regards to this pullback. It's not much at all. The S&P, or the Russell, is the one that I played today, and we've been talking about this, kind of buying at those lows at 2100. Well, I made a play on it this morning, had a great single intraday trade. I'm out of it right now. But this is obviously the weaker of the bunch, but all in all, you look at the Russell, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, none of them are screaming that, we're in a bear market and all of a sudden we need to, back the truck up with our shorts and go short here. So does that mean for you that this is more likely to hit an all-time high than start crashing?
What I told everyone to do is hope for all-time highs, but we kind of have to prepare for a lower high. Just kind of set that mentality straight. I don't want to just jump in and say all-time highs. It's what the market's been doing, so why wouldn't it now? But when we get those aggressive sell-offs like that, I look at those like, is that a possible trend change? And kind of, if that's the funnel cloud, or if the clouds are spiraling, I forget what the weathermen always say, are we looking out for a tornado is what's next. So are we looking out for a lower high right now to start that trend down, or are we heading up? And today was kind of an awkward day because we got the bounce, and this still could very well be, I don't want to call it a dead cat bounce, but just a slight pullback for the bears for them to load up and go short. We ran it right into the bell. So it's tomorrow morning. Are the bulls still in control? Like the time just ran out, or is this where the bears pick up again and send it back down?
One of the things that if you guys follow Don long enough and kind of know his style, one of the reasons we really resonate well with our styles is he doesn't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when I'm going to just say this my way and let me know what you think. Don and I both believe that that making money is a byproduct of not losing it, and that the most important thing in trading, hands down, period, is stop losses and risk management. So while we both have opinions, and quite often those opinions differ on which way markets are going to go, you guys have seen Don before be really bullish on something, and I've been really bearish. Vice versa. It doesn't matter what his opinion is or my opinion is. Bottom line is, if we're wrong, we'll have stop losses in place, and then the winners will just take care of themselves, let them run. And that's what I love about your style, is you don't focus on the profits and, oh, I'm going to make $6,000 in a trade or $10,000 or $5,000, whatever it is. You're saying, I just can't lose this much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's really good at picking out how high something's going to go and what they're going to buy with all those profits. And they get lost in it, though, because they don't. I plan every trade is going to be red. I just had this conversation last night with every trade I get into. I assume the worst. It's going to just straight tag out or gap down. And how much am I going to lose on that? And then I focus on that side of the trade, and then just the trailing when it goes green. And that's like I said, or like you said, the money is just a byproduct on focusing on the right setup.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to figure that out? Because for me, it took me quite some time, I'll be honest. I mean, I took classes back in 1998, back when I was beyond arrogant and cocky. I'm still arrogant and cocky, but nowhere near what I was back then. And I had to get my butt handed to me a few times before I finally figured that part out and said, you know what? I don't care about making money. That will just happen organic. I could mess up and make money as long as I don't mess up and lose a lot. It took me probably a year and a half to I finally said I have to incorporate this into my trading. How long did it take you?
Not that long. That was actually, I think, one of the reasons I hit the ground running, because that was kind of, I was always just paranoid. That was always like common sense to me. But that even blew me away when I made that as a YouTube video. Like 1% stop loss the correct way, entry, stop loss, and then adjust your shares accordingly to how much you're actually risking. Right. I thought that was common sense. So
there is no common sense in trading, man. A lot of times it's emotional sense, which we know is the big loser out there for the most part.
Yeah, my life in general has taught me not to have emotions because you'll just get let down. So I got lucky there, and then I guess my mistakes. So that, and when I first started trading, I was doing a lot of like, an iPhone's coming out, so I'll buy Apple. A lot of stuff, that doesn't actually pan out. But it was a bull market. So I was actually fortunate that I started the time I did and the way I did, because the bull market masked a lot of things that I found out over time. Mm-hmm. So
when did you start? When did you start out in your trading career? Because right now, anybody who started after 2009. It's been a bull market. We had one significant drop, so most people haven't been trading that long.
Yeah, no, 2013.
Okay. So you haven't had like a prolonged oh shit, this market is it ever going to go up again? Those types of markets. Those are the brutal ones.
Yeah, I know they will. There's money to be made, and it could happen tomorrow, and I think I'd still be fine. So, but no, I haven't. Like the 2008, the beatdown, the .com crash, or anything like that. No.
They're fun.
Yet, but.
They're fun. You know me that I'm generally kind of a bearish kind of guy. So when those markets come, it's like, oh yes, I love it.
See, I don't mind. I'm like a chameleon. I can adapt. So if we start selling off, I have no problem.
Right.
Start switching gears.
Surprisingly, when I used to do a lot of these workshops for On the Trading Academy and other people, you would find in the audience that a lot of people didn't understand what shorting was or how to do it. And I was always blown away at that. It's like, would you ever buy a car that didn't have reverse? You get a good deal on it, but I got to be able to go backwards in these markets. And shorting to me is one of the most powerful things you can do when the market presents shorting opportunities.
Yeah, I wish they would just call it something different. Because imagine, this is how I explain it, because it's, I get you can look at the it costs more. There's the fees involved with it,
sure.
But just turn your monitor sideways. If it's going to go left to the green, hit the buy button. If it's going to go right to the red, hit the sell button. And just as long as you look at it that way, it kind of keeps you unemotional. And just right now we're headed to the left. We're going to click this button.
Love it. All right. Cool. Let's start breaking down some charts. If you want, you do a lot more color combinations than I do. So if you want, you can share your screen. Don't have to, but we had a couple questions. Actually, let me see where the questions are here.
I don't know how many of your audience bought the IWM, bought the Russell Futures, bought whatever you have. Now I call them magic yellow boxes, and you have a yellow box specifically on the Russell.
I don't call it well, yours is more, so yours is, and it's interesting. So we'll look at maybe we can compare styles here. In the yellow box for me just maps out kind of a broad zone when something's range bound. So I use it for bigger ranges when things are ranging. You're using it as your specific zone entries, zone specific stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking to focus. Hey.
Perfect.
It's too loud.
All right. So one of the questions was Scott. I'm sorry I'm not sharing the screen here, guys, but Scott says, since Don is on, let's look at Tesla. I don't think you're as much of a raging Tesla fan anymore, are you?
Yeah. I love Tesla. I got my screen up.
Okay, perfect. I got it shared.
But it was amazing when it was moving, and so that's why my YouTube channel was a lot of Tesla, because I make money on movement. If it just sits there silently, I can be the biggest cheerleader ever, but if it's not making me money, then I just like the company.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as Tesla goes, that was a rough one for me. I bought it on Friday, and I don't usually play trend lines. You know, trend lines are just imaginary lines people draw, and no one else sees it. Just you and your own Picasso drawings you have.
Unless it's so obvious. You know, there's some where you're like honestly, like the trend line that you have drawn, I would say a lot of people would have saw that one. Of course, the most recent dip, which happened right on the break of that trend line, that would have gotten a bunch of people out. But, you got the 3 points, the contact, great, that's a trend line. But you're right, it's pretty subjective.
Yeah, and I look for that. At that point, I'm thinking, this is where I'm thinking leftover orders, traditional supply and demand stuff. But, maybe there's the retail crew watching this. And so I do keep an eye on them. But this I wouldn't do what I call recovery mode. So when something gaps down or goes down overnight, I don't panic sell in the morning. I let the volatility shake out and then trail it up the rest of the day, which happened to work out well and kept me in that Tesla trade. And then obviously today worked out well. And we got earnings coming up the 27th, I believe, 26th. Yep.
Next week. Yeah, I'm not for Scott out there. I'm kind of in Don's camp as well. I like big moves. I like swings, which is why today was a great trading day for me. But, you look at what's going on with Tesla right now. It had those huge swings. I mean, back in November, we were at $400. We peaked out at almost $900 in January. That's monstrous. Right now, yeah, it's moving in like a $70 range, but it's just not, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of meat on that bone or any real strong trend right now. You certainly could be playing that range, but for me, it's not one that I normally trade. I know Don's probably much more active in the Tesla side of things than I am, but that's my take on it. It just looks kind of like consolidation, compression, really. You're making lower highs and higher lows, so it's really forming a giant wedge, right?
Yeah, unless this year, I said last year, this year would be boring for Tesla. I mean, after a move like that with the split and all that, I thought the excitement was probably going to leave. And this thing did need to simmer down a little bit. Like, you guys, well, how I am on valuations. I don't care as long as it's performing, but we got a little bit up there. And so I was thinking some of that would leave and we would probably chill out. This is an interesting trend, though, because what I do notice with trends is we're kind of working our way up this way. We get excited. The excitement leaves. And then kind of are we working our way? Are we back into this normal, more of a move up as opposed to a blow up?
No, what I like about those longer term trend lines like the one that you have drawn is it just says, how if you have a certain slope to that line, it's not that it's always going to stay at that angle, but you can see that we really started to accelerate above it, and there's that normal inclination that you're going to have that rubber band effect where things come pulling back down towards its quote-unquote average. In this case, you're using something like a trend line as your average. You could be using a moving average or some other trend following tool. But Tesla, we talked about it. It just got way overextended, a little bit too much hype after the S&P edition and that stock split. Now you're kind of having just a little bit of sideways. I'm not going to say it's out of favor right now, but it's certainly not the darling that it used to be. Just the nature of the markets, right? It just shifts to something else.
Yeah, exactly. What was the question on Tesla? What do we want to look at?
It was basically just, it didn't say anything specific. It said, since Don is on, let's look at Tesla. That was it.
Yeah. What I've noticed lately is Tesla's been kind of boring on earnings. There's how everybody expects a certain movement on earnings?
Yeah.
And I think that movement comes out when they announce deliveries, and then the earnings are almost like a dud.
Yeah.
as far as like excitement goes.
Well, I mean, the big catalyst, we're adding to the S&P and a split. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with NVIDIA. I don't know if you've been following NVIDIA, but NVIDIA had their split today. I actually thought we would gap up, go slightly higher, and then start selling off. But today was their split. Normally when you have that split, that's when things start to sell off. Tesla would have had that, but then all of a sudden they said they're being added to the S&P 500, and that added further fuel to the fire. But any thoughts on NVIDIA? Did you trade that one?
I actually put it in my investment account today.
Did you?
Yeah, man, I suck because I was like, you know what, I love NVIDIA, and it was right about here. I'm like, you know what, I'm waiting for a pullback, and I'm going to toss it into my investment account. I just like NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. It's been sideways long enough, and then they announced a split, and it just starts running, and I'm like, I just can't get in it now. I was like, I'll probably be one of those guys that waits, because typically it'll run in, and everyone wants to sell to the people that are buying it cheaper.
Right.
We got to sell off a little bit before. Yeah, so that pretty much pinned me. I was like, I'm going to have to wait for that sell-off to come and get in. But, yeah, we saw it sell-off push up yesterday, then I saw the dip this morning, so I went ahead and grabbed some.
Is it on that type of thing? Normally when I've watched splits over the years, when I've traded splits, I've bought many going into the announcement, and right after that announcement, I'll just unload it, which is kind of a standard protocol. Does that concern you at all, because the split just happened, that you might get kind of a sharper move down, or is it just, hey, I got to stop loss in place in case that happens?
Well, investment account. Now I'm rocking this for the next few years.
Oh, okay.
But as far as trading goes, the reason why I picked today is because everything you just described. We get the run up, and then we get the sell at the split. I think it just happened a little bit too soon. I think people that were going to sell at the split said the market's looking a little bit rough. I'm going to go ahead and sell now. So we got that same activity. Maybe it does sell off a little more, and for me to throw some more into it, it'd probably, if it hits the 145 area, I'll add some more. Other than that, I'll probably let it go for a little bit. But it was sideways for the longest time. Right.
So he's on the 4 hour, not the 4 hour. So yeah, when you say it was sideways for the longest time, someone's gonna look at that daily chart and go, "What the hell are you talking about?" But no, on the 4 hour time frame.
Yeah, I mean, from September to September of last year, we finally broke above. We flirted with breaking above it in April, came right back in. Finally broke out and left it in May.
Yeah.
So if we test the top of that, I'll add some more.
Yeah, well, I love the company as well. For me, it's a little bit tricky trying to jump on this one at such elevated levels. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. I think you're the absolute kingpin of the video card market. So let them run.
Yeah. Here's the Rona crash. Look how minuscule just
I know.
A blip in time that looks.
It's because everyone has to start working from home, and all the crypto mining and all that stuff was just gobbling up those GPU cards.
You know what's funny? I talked to a guy named Michael. You see him on Bloomberg, and he blew my mind because you said everyone's buying video cards and that pushed up. And then if we actually look at Microsoft, okay, and then this is what blew me away. We have to get to the weekly actually. Here's the .com. Here's the crash. Here is the year 2000 to the year 2009.
Yep.
Completely flat. What house knew what a Microsoft computer was, and then how many houses knew what a Microsoft computer was in 2008?
Yeah.
And it went completely flat. Yet all of a sudden, look at that weekly chart.
Yeah.
Just vertical.
Yep. And what did he attribute that to? I mean, obviously, cloud and digital environments are helping Microsoft big time. But I mean, that's a pretty unbelievable run considering that all-time high back in 1990 or 2000.
Yeah, at that time the conversation was just about, you always hear these things in the news about how they're changing the world. So many of these are going to get bought and all that, when there's so many times back when technology was actually booming in 2000 to 2010, and none of the stocks went anywhere. And that was most of their groundwork being laid. Everybody else now is upgrading what they had versus the baseline, the surge of everybody piling in.
Right.
So I don't know. That kind of put it back to. I'm not one for the news anyway.
No, but, this has been one that's kind of marveled me as well. You're like, wow. I mean, this you're looking like an absolute growth stock. They were a mature company in 2010, 12, and all of a sudden just boom, taken off. And I think that may have to do with some acquisitions, but certainly cloud computing and moving into more digital spaces and changing up their changing up their target. But just see it. I look at it and I go, man, that seems way overdone, out of the ordinary. But nothing amazes me anymore in the financial markets.
Yeah, I think if you're being surprised by the stock market at all, now there's surprise because it gapped down 20% on you, like whoa. But to be surprised that actually happened, I think that tells me you haven't been in the markets, even in a bull market, a few years. There's a lot of curveballs this market can throw at you.
Let's look at another one that you were pretty bullish on a while back. Curious to get your take. We've got, obviously, Facebook, old FB.
Oh.
Facebook now having a little bit of a reprieve with some antitrust verdicts, although they're not out of the woods yet. You have, obviously, Pelosi, the talk about Pelosi and her husband making a bunch of money off of Facebook and Google and these types of companies because they are buying calls on them, which doesn't bode too well for an antitrust lawsuit. But what's your take on Facebook at this point? We've had a pretty decent sell-off for about a week.
I joke about antitrust so much. I love it. Like I even said the other day, I was like, man, if we could just get a good antitrust going on, I need a good dip buy for Facebook.
Yeah.
And I don't give call outs or anything, but it wouldn't be too hard to figure out. Look how close I was at my stop, though.
Damn.
Just a few cents off, but that's my take. I'm up on it right now.
Oh, so you just bought in this most recent pullback? Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, and actually, if there's one stock I like better in a crash more than Tesla, it's Facebook. What is the bearish side of Facebook? We can go into depression and you're not going to buy a $120,000 Tesla Model S, but you're going to be at home bored looking at Facebook. There's still users there. Small businesses are still going to use it to promote. Like, you could say it's a boomer app or whatever you want. The numbers are still there, and Instagram, and it's just a community in itself. And the algorithms for Facebook, if Facebook came up with a new app that told everybody who their spouse should be, there'd be so many divorces, so many new marriages, because it knows more about you than you know about yourself just from everything you search and how you type, talk, all the algorithms in there. It's a genius program.
Don't encourage Facebook to come out now with spousal recognition programs or something. Come on.
If I was Zuckerberg, I would. I would shut Tinder down. I would shut all down. Like, guys, you don't need it. I already know who your spouse should be. It's either this person or somebody that doesn't have a Facebook. You should tell them to make one. And that'd be it. And world peace. Like, divorces instantly would get cut in half.
Yeah, I can see that. For the viewers out there, what do you guys want us to check out here? We're kind of running through some questions from viewers, but if you guys have some anything you want Don or I to take a peek at, let us know. I'm happy to do so. My day was really boring, actually, from a trading perspective. Like I said, I just had one active day trade today on the Russell. That was it. I still have all those puts I told you about I was selling yesterday, a whole bunch of puts, and it worked out very well today. But would love to get your guys' thoughts and see if there's things that you guys want us to analyze. What else is anything out there that you see, Don, that you go, man, this is some really interesting stuff. Let me share it with different audience today.
Matt, I can see some comments in here. Tesla will soon come crashing down.
It might.
Tesla eventually will be valued like the established companies that generate 95% of the revenue from the auto industry. I think that's a big one. I think that's why a lot of people miss Tesla, actually. Tesla in the UK is an energy company. Like, instead of your electricity is Tesla. And I think as that takes over, that's going to be a big one for, I get it, they sell cars right now. And I don't need anybody to tell me that again. But I think what you're buying with Tesla is the future of that. And as that ramps up, I think it's going to be crazy for Tesla. I mean, whatever the stock value is, I'm not the valuation guy, but I think Tesla's got a huge still upside still.
Okay.
Regards to the cars.
All right. So we can do Boeing. Let's do cryptocurrency while you're at it, since I don't know your take on cryptocurrency. What do you got? Let's do Bitcoin, Ethereum. Doesn't matter to me.
So these are weekly zones that I have. If you ever see purple on mine, that's just a weekly zone. We played the back and forth game, but it just looks like the sellers are spilling over.
Yep.
And I keep hearing, I think it's BitBoy. There's another couple other YouTubers out there that are talking about a catalyst with regulation or something coming up in a couple weeks. It's supposed to be August, and I think that's, if that doesn't spark anything to get it moving, and then I think we got to stick to the charts. And right now, red candles, right? More red than green, so there's more sellers than buyers, and coming down. I don't think I want to break in this weekly zone. We're already in the 20s, and psychologically, the way Bitcoin just jumps thousands, the next real support right there is going to be the 24K mark, and it'd be interesting to see how many people load the boat as it gets down here or start buying it. It's still something that I buy into every week. I haven't added in, so I actually have a set amount going into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a savings account. And so it buys it every week, and then the savings account is to throw at it when there actually is a dip buy. And
Smart.
There's a difference between a dip buy and a downtrend. So I want to make sure I bought the dip, not just something trending down. So I want to wait for the turnaround to throw some more into it, but I still buy it dollar cost into it every week.
Yeah, I'm obviously long-term bullish, but you look at the price chart right now that Don's got up there, and bearish, man. I mean, it looks. I hate to say it because I'm holding and I'm not going to get out. I'll hold. I'm kind of like Don, and my thought here is for years out for Bitcoin. But you and I have that same zone. Right around 24,000. If we end up closing down below that zone he's got there on the weekly, it could be a pretty fast fall as well. I mean, you have a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around crypto right now, especially with Janet Yellen talking about stable coins. And, is there a reason to analyze Ethereum and Cardano and all these other ones? I'm going to say no. The reason is almost everything's following Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin takes a big dump, you're going to see more downside movement in everything. I actually am a big holder in Cardano and Ethereum as well. But, Cardano, as he's mapping out right now, You're sitting right at the bottom of the range, bottom of that zone. It does not look good at this moment in time for crypto, even though I love the industry. I love decentralized markets. I love digital assets. It's trending down right now. So gotta write it down.
I literally have all those exact. I'm not adding to Cardano. I have my coins in there, and I'm keeping that. I might. If it gets any cheaper, I might throw another chunk at it, but Cardano's just not one I'm averaging into.
Mm-hmm.
I know here in August, hopefully their contracts come out, so all the cryptos can talk to each other.
Right.
Instead of converting and all that. It should be able to. I don't know. I don't want to sound like the crypto genius. It sounded good when the other guy was breaking it down. Really resonate with me, so that's why I have that one. Also, why I'm not dollar cost averaging into it. I just got my chunk, and we're right here. Wrote it up, sold some, I'm back in it. So I've made some profit, but hold Bitcoin and revisit in the next year. It will be back.
Yeah, I think in a year, no problem. It does. I know that this is the nature of the beast, and the funny part is, if you go back, a year, people were worried that it was gonna fall below 3,000. Now they're like, oh, it's gonna fall below 30,000. If we do that every year, I'm okay with that.
it'll never get back to 20K.
Yeah, it might.
It'll never touch 20K.
Yeah.
Like from the top. And yeah, to touch on your point, there is a reason it's called Bitcoin and everything else is called an altcoin.
Yep.
Like some people really hate on Bitcoin for that, but Bitcoin is still like there's the iPod and everything else was an MP3 player. It's still the one.
Yep.
This won't turn. Nothing else will turn around until I think Bitcoin does.
Yep. Naum says, "Can you short crypto?" Yes, you can. Obviously, the easiest way to do it would be to go to the futures market and short Bitcoin futures. You can also go and if you have a margin account, you can short through margin accounts, and there's a lot of exchanges that will give you margin access, and mainly those are going to be international ones. Although Kraken will give you 5-to-1. Margin on your cryptocurrency. So yes, you can short cryptocurrencies, but a lot of people are doing this through options, right? You have options on futures. So people, I know there was a comment here about the big put buying. There was a bunch of puts bought at $22,000 Bitcoin. Could it get there? Yeah, it absolutely could. Especially when you have, and this is kind of my thinking of the overall industry is, you're now getting to the point where we have vehicles and tools for institutions to F with the markets, which they normally do. If I'm an institution and I've got $50 million disposable, I can destroy your thoughts on what crypto is going to do. I could sit here and unload all day long and short $50 million worth of Bitcoin and crash the entire market. And then I'll cover my shorts when that thing is down at $20,000 and cause it to come ripping back up. So if you're a long-term investor's perspective, you got to know these games are going to be played to test the mettle of investors in the crypto space. So it's the nature of the beast when you have a thinly traded market, meaning it's not as liquid as some of the equity markets, and then you have big institutions with big money. They can do whatever they want with these markets, because you and I buying a 5 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, or a fraction of Bitcoin, you're not going to do squat to the market. But these guys buying 10,000 at a time or selling 10,000, oh yeah, they're going to crash stuff.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch on that and a comment in there is that's why I'm not talking about trading crypto so much, and yeah, there's not much to talk about because I'm obviously down as it goes up, and my buy-in, my average goes up, and same as it's headed down. But it's those games that you're talking about. That's what I'm telling everybody. Like, hey, right now, like we're still putting the pieces on the board. Once all the pieces are there, then the game happens.
Right. Yeah, and I think this has been the comment I've made in the past, which I think is it's very true with this space, which is that .com bubble that everyone talks about and references, that was created by institutions. The institutions created the inflated bubble by bringing all these companies to market. The retail investor was left holding the bag. This is completely different. Retail investors are the one who started cryptocurrency, and all of a sudden it's now getting institutional involvement. So I still think there's tremendous upside potential for it, but like anything that's new, there's going to be wild fluctuations along the way, and we're just in the midst of one of those right now, unfortunately. So some people are going to be, if you got a weak stomach, don't buy a lot of cryptocurrency.
And it was a comment Brendan said. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah,
it was the markets are volatile. Man, let me find that.
Brendan's always pretty active. Markets are fractal, unpredictable, and much more risky than imagined. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the human factor.
Yep.
That's exactly. And people are emotional. Like that. That's why you can't. If that wasn't the case, I could come on in one video and tell you guys how to trade the markets. It'd be that easy. Here's the rules. Here, draw your own algorithm or your little basic math problem.
Yeah.
And buy it. That's what I think is awesome about the market. I think it's why it's a lot more psychology based. Once you understand the games they can play and all that, then you just learn to move with it.
You shrug it off.
The charts you have, not the charts you want, and then just make it happen.
Yeah, markets are bipolar, man. You look what happened yesterday. It was like the sky is falling. Here we go. We're ready for the big crash. And today it's like, oh, were we scared yesterday? No, I'm euphoric. Buy everything you can, Yeah, as Big Up says, up 700%, then down 50, and people say Bitcoin sucks. Hey, that's opportunity, man. That's opportunity. What else? There was one more. There was MasterCard, and let's call that our last one we'll analyze here, and then I'll go talk more about what you're doing. MA, oof. I'm looking at MasterCard here for one of the viewers. I can't remember who sent that one in. It's probably scrolled up here. I think it was Lisa. This doesn't look that great. I mean, you had a great sell-off yesterday right into some demand zones, but I don't know. This isn't one that I'm super excited about. If you're thinking about going long on, yesterday might have been a great buy point, but I don't know. Not on my radar.
Zone to zone. Like that literally is a drop down into that zone. Today just went zone to zone. For me, it's literally sitting right at it right now. And I got to say, this is like I talked about earlier. We kind of awkwardly ran right into, did we run the clock out? Are the Bears thinking, is this a pullback for the Bears? Or we taking a break because the clock ran out? Tomorrow we continue on and start that push. As it sits right now, and what I told my group is, if you bought this and it pushed up all day and ran into the bell, I'd at least close a chunk, half. You trail it, but it never tagged you out. At that point, you got to ask yourself tomorrow, are we gapping down or we gapping up and going? And I think a way to stay unemotional on that is close some of it. If it pushed up, you're still in it. If it sells off, you made some. So it's going to take quite a bit of red to actually reverse that, and your position end up being red.
All right, one more now. Micron, right. MU. Check out MU. Oh, I see yellow boxes. I see purple boxes. He's got some interest in this one.
It's because we played the back and forth game. We went sideways for a while, and then broke it to the downside. Man, that's.
I mean, your charts are great because where you got that yellow box on the bottom, it looks like we finally broke down below that zone that you had. Great. That to me just says short opportunity. Now you got that moment where all of a sudden it's bouncing back up. And, my assumption here for the gentleman who asked about that one, I think that was, where was that? Look at the questions here. On Micron, I think it's going to retest. It might come up to that $77 mark, so the high 76s. If it gets back above that zone he's got drawn, which call it 77.50, then okay, then we might be showing some strength. Otherwise, the chart since March is just nothing but lower lows, lower highs. And I'd have to say I'd be looking to short pullbacks up on this one.
Yeah, there's the big picture. Up, pulled back. Maybe we tried to held. That was probably a good chance for it. There's something right here. I can see why we bounced. This was a level clearly somebody cared about at some point. maybe that's all the buyers we have. I don't think we're going to just waltz right through this yellow zone, no muss, no fuss, and head to all-time highs. So for me to even be bullish on this, it would need to get above this yellow zone, come back and test it from the top. Because right now I would be looking for sellers in that zone. And if I wanted to short it, that's where I would be looking to short it, right there in that zone.
Yep. Yeah, me too. All right. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got things to do. It's a busy day for you. It's a busy day for everybody in the financial markets. But what else you got cooking? I know that you do a bunch of education stuff. Is that all? Can they find out more information through your website?
Yeah, website. It's donfronshow.com. Or if you just hop on my YouTube channel, it's all the links are always in the description. Okay. But, yeah. The only thing I got working right now is I just want more questions from everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Until everybody is, and I hate to be cocky, but at my level of like risk management or whatever, how can we, there's a gap there, and I want to start making videos for that crowd to, what do we got to do to get caught up? What do we got to, what education is missing? Because I can harp all day long about risk management, but until you can repeat every word I say, but until it reflects in your actions, it doesn't mean anything. So that's all I've been working on. So if they do hop over my YouTube channel, or if this is on if you're watching my YouTube channel, so I'm gonna put this there. Put those comments down below, and then check out TraderMerlin.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, because this is going on my show. So
cool.
That link will be there as well. Yeah, because we do trade very similar, and just no emotions.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say I have no emotions. You know, I certainly have my moments where I'll get a little jittery, but for the most part, you shouldn't, right? I think one of my good friends said, at its finest, trading is boring. You know, you're just sitting there going, I'm bored because I don't have emotions. I'm not really doing anything because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The charts tell me what to do. I'm just doing that. So that makes it much easier, I think, than most people's approach the markets, is trying to remain unemotional. However, I have talked to a lot of psychologists. Dr. Woody Johnson is probably one of my favorites, and this guy makes a career helping people with the psychological aspects of trading, because it can just absolutely destroy you if you don't have the right mindset and approach to these markets. So, cool.
Definitely can. Once your emotions take hold, like you're not going to get rid of your emotions. It's when they start trading for you, and it's dangerous. You got to set that aside somehow. Yep.
So what do they say? When I got certified for scuba diving when I was 18 years old, and the diver says, how do most people die in the ocean? I'm like, sharks, right? I've seen Jaws. I know it's sharks. He's like, no. Eels? He's like, no, it's not eels. So he goes, people panic. You start panicking in the water, you hyperventilate, you're all of a sudden the oxygen in your blood starts to dissipate, and you'll start to sink. If you're buoyant and you start hyperventilating, you could sink and drown. So bottom line is, don't panic, have a plan, have rules, have structure, and keep those things in check at all times. All right, Don. Well, hey, man, thank you so much. Thanks for all the work you do over on your YouTube channel. Again, you guys can find out more information by going to his YouTube channel, which I will put right on his screen right there. It's YouTube Don Fron Show, as one word, and he's got all kinds of great content there as well. And you can find out more information by going to his webpage, which is donfronshow.com as well. All right, Don, that's going to do it, man. Hope you had a great trading day. Hope your great trades tomorrow as well, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. I'll see you guys later.
All right, take care. All right, guys, we've had Don on quite a few times in the past. We'll continue to get him on. Maybe we can get like a monthly appearance from Don. I like having people on the program that disagree with me and we argue at some point, but Don and I pretty much see things eye to eye, and it's because we have that same basic foundation of money management and risk management. And granted, he's taken a lot of different schools, a lot of different courses. He's got his opinions about different companies, etc., but it's the bottom line foundation of how we structure our trades, which is all about risk management. It's the first and foremost piece, which allows you to get rid of a lot of the emotional side of things and focus on just what you're supposed to do, and make sure that if you are wrong, you don't lose a lot. So check him out. I know you guys know his stuff as well. Okay, let me go to, there were a couple questions that came in right at the end. Adam says, what about buying the daily at 72? I think you're talking about Micron, the old MU. Sure. You look at Micron, you go down to 72. There isn't anything that I would say, if you look at this line right here, where is that a really strong demand zone? I would probably go lower. I know it seems kind of weird, but I would try to go lower. If you're using this little area of sideways consolidation, kind of a drop, a base, and a rally out of it, yeah, 72 might be okay. You could go to 71 to be a little bit more conservative, or even 70, which gets you near the bottom of that zone. But remember, if you do try to do that, you are going against the trend. You're bucking the trend by buying something that's making lower highs and lower lows. So you just have to know going in on that one, Adam, that there's a higher risk of you being stopped out on this one. It could continue to keep dropping, and if that happens, then you might get stopped out. So make sure you put that stop loss in place just in case you are wrong. What else we got? 3,000 in bad, stupid. Brent says lost $3,000 in bad, stupid trades here. Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you could keep it less than that. We're all going to lose some money in stupid trades, regardless of how long we've been doing this or how good we think we are. You're still going to make some mistakes. When do I get Greg Menarino on the program? I have to reach out to him. I've been busy, man. I will. I told you. I promised you I would, and I just got to do it. Okay. What else? Let's go to. I want to go to economic announcements and earnings stuff for tomorrow. So, sorry, we had this. I didn't get to this question from Tran. Tran says, like to get both of your opinion. When will market crash? It'll crash when it crashes. I hate being the forecaster or prognosticator of these types of things. Let's see. Here's what I want to focus on for today. Obviously, today was a popcorn trade of the day type of environment because we had Netflix reporting earnings after market, and I said it'll probably jump 10% in 60 seconds. Yeah, it did. It fell aggressively, and I'll bring up that chart here. This is the. Why is this not? This is not the earnings calendar. This is from last Friday. How come we didn't update this, Merlin? Did I not update any of this stuff? You gotta be kidding. No, this is today. Huh? I didn't update the earnings calendar for today. Well, Netflix came out with earnings. I'll show you what the chart looks like while I bring up the calendar just to make sure you guys can see it. Here is NFLX. That's our first popcorn trade of the day. Doesn't look like much, right? It just looks, okay, it hasn't done anything. That's because this is a daily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line right where we closed out on the daily chart for Netflix, which is 531.05. And I will go to a 5-minute chart. And you guys can see right after it closed, it aggressively fell from 531. It hit a low in that 5-minute window. It hit a low of 496. So you dropped about 40 points. You hit almost a 10% swing, and then all of a sudden came ripping right back up and now is pretty much unchanged in the after-hours session. So Netflix was off to an ugly, ugly start. And all of a sudden, you see this huge spike of volume come in well over normal and just ripped it right back up. Even for regular market hours, this was an abnormal volume spike for Netflix. So that's what happened there for Netflix. I will show you the exact numbers here because I can't remember them off the top of my head. And, maybe I may have just, you know what, I don't think I actually took it because the earnings weren't out yet. That's what it was. No wonder I didn't have these things. I'm just not prepared today. All right, so let's go back to our current account stuff. Here's the information for mañana. On the economic calendar for tomorrow, this is the economic calendar for tomorrow. Not much going on. The only one to be concerned about would be crude oil inventories. You had about a 1% slide today in crude oil, a little over 1%. Right now, expectations are that we're going to see the supply numbers go from negative 7.9 million barrels to negative 4.6. I'm not putting any guesses out of which way that one's going to go. I'll be watching that crude oil chart to see how it actually does pan out. But today, certainly a wild ride. In the after hours, actually, crude oil was selling off as well, if you guys noticed that one. So we're down right now, trading at 66.40, which when it closed was at 67. So we're continuing to drift down. All right, so let me get my Monday ones here just so I can get that Netflix for you. Why are we not seeing my Netflix? For Tuesday. Oh, man, why does this not want to work right now? Just deciding not to function for me. Netflix, give me the number. There it is. So Netflix missed earnings by 19 cents. They're supposed to come out at 316, came out at 297, and they were down 6% at one point. Anyway. Intuitive Surgical, HCA Healthcare, those all beat, but that's not the most important stuff. Now, here's what's happening for tomorrow's earnings announcement. No popcorn stocks, but we do have quite a few big names. This was probably going to be in some of your portfolios. You got Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, you have Anthem, Novartis, and Comerica and Harley-Davidson are all before the market opens. After the market closes, I've got Kinder Morgan, Texas Instruments, CSX Corporation, Las Vegas Sands, Crown Castle International, and Discover Financial. Now, those are just cherry-picking some of the companies. There's a lot more than this reporting earnings tomorrow, so make sure you guys have your earnings calendar all set up. Make sure you don't get caught off guard by holding something that you probably shouldn't have. That's going to do it for me for today, guys. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, let me know. You can go to TraderMerlin.com and type in questions there, but I don't update that website much. So go to TraderMerlin@gmail.com to email me any comments or questions you have, any feedback for the show. Of course, check out DonFronShow.com or go to his YouTube channel as well to get more information. That said, have a fantastic evening, everybody. I will see you on our Wednesday show. Take care.